In 2025, 10 countries will learn just how much their economies depend on China's demand and investment. From resource exporters to manufacturing hubs, a small shift in Chinese spending or financing can trigger serious crises. Here are the 10 most vulnerable nations. Number 10, Australia. Australia sits atop a treasure trove of iron ore, coal, and natural gas, the very bedrock of modern industry. Over half of its iron ore exports go straight to Chinese steel mills. Coal shipments fuel Chinese power plants and steelmaking furnaces alike. LNG tankers from Perth and Darwin keep millions of Chinese lights on. Even Australian wine, beef, and dairy fetch premium prices in China's booming middle class. Why it matters? Billions in revenue. Iron ore sales alone contribute over 45 billion Australian dollars annually, nearly a quarter of Australia's export earnings. Economic fragility. A sudden Chinese policy shift or slowdown in construction could slash demand overnight, risking mine closures, job losses, and budget deficits. Agricultural exposure. A 30% drop in Chinese meat or wine imports would devastate farm communities in New South Wales and Victoria. Australia's quest to diversify, seeking new buyers in India, Southeast Asia, and Europe, progresses at a glacial pace. Its economy remains, for now, on China's tender mercies. Number 9, Vietnam. Once celebrated as China plus one, Vietnam's manufacturing boom depends almost entirely on Chinese inputs. Electronics, garments, footwear, most components journey first to factories in Shenzhen or Guangzhou, then on to Ho Chi Minh City's assembly lines. A logistical hiccup in Guangdong can stall production in Binh Duong province. Why it matters? Supply chain bottlenecks, factory shutdowns, or shipping delays in southern China immediately stall Vietnamese output. Trade imbalance. While China buys Vietnamese rice, coffee, and garments worth $80 billion annually, Vietnam imports over $150 billion in semi-finished goods from China. Limited autonomy. Even Western firms that diversify still rely on Chinese machinery, molds, and parts. To truly break free, Vietnam must build domestic suppliers, a decade-long endeavor, and negotiate new trade deals with partners far beyond its giant neighbor. Number 8, Malaysia. Malaysia's economy thrives on two pillars: palm oil plantations and high-tech manufacturing parks. China imports over 60% of Malaysia's palm oil, used in everything from cooking oil to cosmetics. Meanwhile, Malaysian semiconductor fabs supply critical chips for Chinese smartphones and 5G gear. Why it matters? Commodity reliance. A 20% drop in Chinese palm oil purchases would cost Malaysian producers hundreds of millions of dollars and threaten smallholder livelihoods across Sabah and Sarawak. Tech ties. Major Malaysian plants in Penang and Kulim export chips worth $25 billion annually to China. A shift to Chinese domestic fabs would leave these facilities underutilized. Debt and development Chinese investment under the Belt and Road Initiative has funded highways and ports, but loans must be repaid in ringgit or oil cargoes, exposing Malaysia to currency swings and buyer power. Efforts to expand into markets like India and the EU are underway, but replacing China's deep-pocketed buyers will take years of new trade pacts and marketing efforts. Number 7, Angola. Angola exports around 70% of its crude oil production to China. In return, Chinese firms have built roads, railways, and power plants across Angola, often financed by loans rather than grants. Why it matters? Single buyer risk. A 10% reduction in Angola's oil exports to China could slash national revenues by nearly $3 billion, forcing budget cuts in health and education. Debt dependency. China's loans for infrastructure total over $20 billion. Angola repays interest by shipping more oil, creating a cycle that accelerates if oil prices plunge. Economic squeeze. When global oil prices dipped in 2020, Angola's economy contracted by 5%, pushing many families below the poverty line. Diversification into diamonds and agriculture has been slow. Until Angola secures alternative energy buyers, its highways and bridges remain a double-edged sword. Number 6, South Korea. South Korea is a global semiconductor powerhouse, home to chip giants whose wafers power everything from smartphones to electric vehicles. It exports over $100 billion in chips each year, and China accounts for roughly 30% of that sales volume. At the same time, South Korean factories import specialized chemicals, silicon wafers, and equipment from Chinese suppliers. Why it matters? Tech supply vulnerability. A slowdown in Chinese chemical exports can choke South Korean fab lines, halting production at plants in Gyeonggi and Chungcheong provinces. Revenue shock. If Chinese chip makers shift to domestic suppliers, South Korea could lose $30 billion in annual chip sales, undermining its trade surplus. Geopolitical risks. In 2017, China unofficially boycotted Korean goods over political disputes, an early warning of how quickly trade sentiment can turn into economic pressure. To reduce this overdependence, Seoul is investing in domestic supply chains and forging new semiconductor partnerships with the US and Europe. But building replacements for specialized materials and equipment will take at least a decade. Number 5. Brazil. Brazil's vast farmland once seemed destined for a diversified set of buyers. Instead, roughly 70% of its soybeans, and nearly 40% of its beef and poultry exports, now go to China. As China's middle class grew, so did its hunger for animal feed and protein. Today, Brazilian growers plant endless fields of soy to satisfy Chinese livestock operations, while ranchers raise cattle and chicken with Chinese markets in mind. Why it matters. Market concentration. A 15% cut in Chinese soybean purchases could wipe out over $4 billion in Brazilian farm revenues, threatening livelihoods across Mato Grosso and Parana. Price vulnerability. Global soybean prices often track Chinese demand. When Beijing slows imports, the result of its own crop booms or stockpile sales, Brazilian farmers face sudden price crashes. Supply chain leverage. As China invests in Brazilian ports and railways, it gains negotiating power over freight rates and export terms, further tying Brazil's agricultural wealth to Chinese policy. Brazil's leaders talk of finding new buyers in Europe and Africa, but reorienting massive shipments or developing alternative crops will take years of coordinated policy and investment. Number 4. Zambia. Zambia sits on vast copper reserves vital for electric vehicles and renewable energy grids. Over half of its copper exports go to China. In parallel, Zambia borrowed heavily from Chinese banks to fund airports and tunnels. Why it matters. Price volatility. Copper prices can swing 30% in a year. When China's manufacturing slows, Zambia's export revenues plunge, leaving mines idle and workers jobless. Debt distress. Zambia's external debt surged past 100% of GDP, much owed to Chinese creditors. Repayment calls risk asset seizures or severe austerity measures. Social impact. In 2019, a 25% drop in copper earnings led to public sector layoffs and halved funding for schools and clinics in Lusaka and the Copper Belt. To break free, Zambia needs to attract buyers in Europe and North America and negotiate debt relief before its copper boom turns into a bust. Number 3. Thailand. Thailand's economy is a tapestry woven from tourism, agriculture, and light manufacturing. Before 2020, Chinese travelers made up nearly 30% of its foreign visitors, filling Bangkok hotels, Phuket restaurants, and Chiang Mai markets. At the same time, Thailand exported computer parts, auto components, and processed foods to China worth over $25 billion annually. Why it matters. Tourism shock. When COVID-19 grounded flights, Thailand lost an estimated $50 billion in travel revenue, almost overnight, showing how one traveler market can collapse a sector. Export exposure. A 20% decline in Chinese demand for electronics or auto parts would idle factories in the Eastern Economic Corridor, costing thousands of jobs. Diversification challenge. While Thailand looks to markets like India and Australia, cultural ties and established roots make China hard to replace for both holidaymakers and manufacturers. Thailand's recovery plans include marketing campaigns in Europe and new trade deals across ASEAN, but balancing its economy after years of Chinese focus remains a delicate long-term project. Number 2. Cambodia. In recent years, Cambodia has welcomed massive investments from China: roads, bridges, real estate towers, and power plants, largely financed under the Belt and Road Initiative. Chinese contractors built highways linking Phnom Penh to coastal seaports, and skyscrapers now punctuate the skyline of Sihanoukville. At the same time, Chinese tourists poured in to visit Angkor Wat, Siem Reap's markets, and beach resorts. Why it matters. Debt obligations. Cambodia's external debt to China exceeds $8 billion. Repayment often depends on continued Chinese spending and project loans, making Phnom Penh vulnerable if Beijing reconsiders financing. Tourism dependence. Before COVID-19, nearly 40% of foreign arrivals were Chinese. A sudden drop in Chinese tourists, whether due to travel restrictions, economic downturn, or diplomatic tensions, can shutter hotels, stall restaurants, and throw thousands of hospitality workers out of work. Export concentration. Cambodia ships garments, fishery products, and agricultural goods to China, worth over $4 billion annually. Any shift in Chinese import policies or tariffs directly dents local factories and farms. Although Phnom Penh seeks visitors from Europe and investors from Japan and South Korea, replacing China's deep-pocketed presence and tourist numbers remains a formidable challenge. Number 1. Pakistan. Pakistan plays a starring role in China's Belt and Road Vision through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. Highways, rail lines, and energy plants funded by Chinese loans weave across the country, from Gwadar Port to Islamabad, promising growth and connectivity. Yet most of these funds are loans rather than grants. Why it matters? Ballooning debt. Pakistan's obligations to China top $10 billion. Debt servicing consumes a growing share of its budget, squeezing spending on health, education, and social services. Trade imbalance. Pakistan imports over $20 billion in machinery, electronics, and consumer goods from China, while its exports to China hover around $4 billion. This large deficit drains foreign exchange reserves and pressures the rupee. Strategic leverage. China's control over critical infrastructure gives it significant influence. Any delay in project financing or repayment disputes could stall key transport links and power plants. Islamabad's efforts to attract investment from Gulf states and revive exports to Europe are promising, but for now, Pakistan remains tethered to China's financial lifeline and its risks. Deep ties to China fuel huge revenues, from Australia's minerals to Vietnam's factories and South Korea's chips, but create serious vulnerability. A small drop in Chinese demand or credit can crash exports, stall production, and trigger debt crises. China's role as top buyer and lender gives it outsized influence over policies and projects. True diversification takes years and requires strategic trade deals, stronger local industries, and multilateral support. Monitoring China's economic signals and China plus one shifts is key to spotting risks early and reducing over-reliance.